아무데야 anga 가르다 루트 인스티튜트 중에 안에 가르다니 나야 숑겐게 저주인 나버서당 다나신게 레지브서당 안 다나신 야르기 레지브 나버서 참로리아 양갈 제브텔이야 가버총 수야당 안에 예도 주순기 로사베기 자시비 참주셔
To all the ordained Sangha of Root Institute, as well as all the staff, and also understand you have a large community of Indian staff, and so to all the staff, and in fact to everybody who's involved with the Root Institute. I want to say that I'm very pleased to be here with you all once again. And on this occasion, I'd like to take the opportunity of first wishing you a very special 2013 New Year.
단 드리 메시지 가르다 곰다 데베 코리아 기술을 셰고 여자 안 곰디 코리아 기샤데 다디 아란스 곰스케 게뉴메 인자 미제다 곰게 돌이야든 기지셰나스 케멘도 에지랑게 고라지 베제 나노리아 순샤브데네 이제 바지 참에 야 가르르다지 킹게레성도 데 나랑웨네 믹스에게 지 가르 튜몽 마이바로지 냠뇽다 자네 샤스케 민두스 다이네 지당게 고 가르르데 지당도 쳬다 제 담카시에지 셰샤리나 바지 디 코초면도 삼바르비도 스탠딩도
I understand you like me to talk about meditation practice, given that I myself personally do not have much in the way of background of meditation experience. So obviously there is not much to speak about based on personal experience. And if I were to talk about meditation practice as presented in the different meditational scriptures, obviously that is something you all might be already familiar with. So given that the scriptural description of meditation practice is something you're familiar with, and I don't have much to talk about meditation practice, anything particular or special based on personal experience of meditation. So probably there's not much to talk about meditation practice. Nevertheless, I would like to share some words with you along the line of Dharma practice in general.
다들 녜리아 퍼지 남균 알데요 뉴사제 투어가시 랭귀어를 챙도 제자 녜리아 투어르는데 정부임이나 아니 진에 저 나랑 가르시고디 세브를 차체 디즈야 디쇼리아 텐스를 태체 안다지 체르니 샤르 챙으면 샤마도 람사 지신 디셰르 시다메 댕게르스도 제가 bena 좋아 ene 인지 torchon ya ure 인지 tor 좋아 숨지르 총나 안 디베 사베 제리 안 등에 지 세주 누가 민도 지다
During my last visits here, I remember we had some discussions in terms of that you had asked some questions. Maybe it might be a good idea that we start with the questions, and so maybe the questions will help me become more clearer as to what to address, and because as of now, immediately there isn't anything so that sort of stands out that I want to talk about. So maybe we begin with a couple of questions, and we can ask the questions in English. So we will start with that.
I think if anybody have questions? No? Who? Oh, okay. Please.
How can you experience Buddha nature on a practical level, so that at least to get some taste and some hope with this?
Oh, Buddha nature in practical level. Wow. I thought when you ask some questions that make me more sort of easier. But that makes me more complicated. I don't know. It's Buddha nature in practical way. Level. 디신님을 보시에서 디신님 러신일이 보시 대관배 가수래 디신님 러신일이 꼴 대안배 가수래가 가요 라요의 연계인지 쉬对 용도를 봐 락배 청교원기 막 하나를 넣어도 저래야 되지. 정신이 야다 내를 지시하는 점으로다 지단기 가수에 those lam 점으로다 지당 아주 디난 심진 탐제 상계레사 데다 간다 가수에지 심진 탐제가 정신 상계레사 야나 야만은 지 가수에 심진 탐제기 다 된다만은 배 심진 탐제배 상계 가수에 지면 머리 수도 알았어 이내야 루브루 정신을 지면 드려 말데 이비냐 다디 넘버로 들려야지 지면 드릴 수도 인상 에너지 상계 되나지 가수다 뭐 베네지 도와서 말다지 the perfect level somewhere the ultimate somewhere 다 들려야 상계 되려는 디 코미셔버지 베나 radi bena radi be nongar da demberchi shuguna ne ya ju sha yimna jidang ko radi nongar dembe ne ya ko shuguna ju sha yin ju sa ne ko nongar da de ka ji nongar ye bi ne di ko xin le so jue ba chi ma de因为呢da ko rang xin li ya di jue mi do ba ma de yin ya di ne ga ji li ya shuguna du sha ba yin ju sa ne di jun zen de ne o 新的说吧，这边去个样嘛的，那天的去送帮俺说，那搞出来的，人心什么了？上个头啊，3年长度，第7年长度，7年俺们都不得俺做呀，要的是。那也别呢，第6个题嘛，那么的6个题目这边为啥？第军在的呢，他的上个印度人呢，这个团起来这个嘛的是啥？团。 드린 주산에 정신의 상계 이내야 다지 상계 고마셔 비서 차로로다 드린 주산에 다디 소리지 ingen 도슬 찔라다
So in general we talk about how all sentient beings are endowed with the potential for complete Buddhahood. That is how all beings are inherently Buddhas, because in fact inherently Buddhas, and inherently that Buddha nature is completely free of any stains. So stainless, perfect Buddha nature. Yet at the level of relative immediate experience of it is the experience is not in that way. Experience is this perfectly pure Buddha nature inherently is veiled and veiled by whatever confused outlook. So in terms of example, it might be something like you have a very sharp sword, so that is intact, and the blade is perfectly sharp, yet it is put in a sheath, and so while concealed in the sheath, and then the sharpness of the blade of the sword is not apparent. While within the sheath, sort of concealed in the sheath, it wouldn't do the work it is potentially capable of, like for instance cutting wood, cutting through wood. So by the same token, even though that we have the seed or the conditions or the potentials for complete enlightenment, potentially enlightened, yet just as the sword in the sheath, it doesn't actually fulfill the work of being enlightened. So that's sort of where it stands. So maybe we sort of go on with that.
Delia pena diriji dishiya yure sangudu pena 타보름부치에 다데 지금 벽이 개바 망부 숭수유 망부 담도 망고야 알았어. 숭수유 디스테지 면자를 마도 된다도 지구를 차대 유서래. 다 지구 차대 유서래 제 다버지 가서에 제다 비즈니스래다. 이나 배나 타보름부치 가르스노하잖아. 남도 죽으셔야지. 숭어하래. 다 남도 죽을 순두사 미망고지 가르치래 제고 남도 어디 죽고 있는데나 다 미심제 탐제디 가르래 다 배주제 먹고 정신 고 죽고 예제 연산데 지 팀에마다 비지 상계를 지 견자를 차를 얘네지 드레지 통디가 이미냐 돈다도 또 남도 죽고 써야지 다 드셔를 겨이나 지당게 남도가 정신 추구 남도가 니루디 추구 인자 동반이 인자 텔레베 추구 세베 라바레사 드시 잠nen 지다 드거데 야 텔레베 사버르 지반 드시 겨이나 남도가 정신 추구 인베 다고 제베는 심이다 보니 뭐 디소르지 차로라다 미세지 사버르지 계셔야만 하모 이나 탤런트시 잡냐면 사버르 시켜야입니다 남도다 남도가 띵기 추구서 말해 남도가 정신 동반이디 당 오예메 수도요 봐 배나 분바다 분배입니다 바데 오예메 수도요 봐 드네 인두산타 남도사데 야우 말해 내가 고민도 이나 남도기 띵기 추구서 말해 남도기 띵기 추구서란다 남도는 시 동반이는 알아 주고도 군일에 배 상행이 야와로 체체 에네디 카가스샤요 말아 가르스나 군이 오예메 수도 야베 인두산에 남도 노르산 남도는 시 동반이 된 동동해르지 드네 인두 디준선 때네 전담은 안 할 수 있는 진이머를 기다 남버도바 가린 거예요 비냐 대단해지도 오예메기 아니 거기 추구세난다도 동번이들이 용되게 하래 다 기생 안 할 수 되게 남버도바 되게 넘주르기 제점도 만나면치 디니루 되려야 계지 대마다도 배 남도를 충분히급들이야 되게 올라배 센터부터 봐지 가서 문제를 채도 총이미나 바지 가서에 안고 가서다 남도다 현지도 제베 추구대 원쳐야 알아보지 남도다 현지도 제베 동이 된 원쳐야 알아보지 다 간다 남도를 차가 가서 동이래다 냠도다 용서 말베다 냠도 개용고요 알아보지 나 드레르지래샤 다 듣네 맞지 가다 미드
So, for instance, the great many learned and realized scholars in Tibet have said through sort of different angles, essentially I feel addressing the same point. And among those great many learned and realized scholars, to name one, that is Gambopa. And Lord Gambopa had said that thoughts are Dharmakaya. That's the nature of thought, or thoughts are Dharmakaya. So when we hear that, or when people sort of hear that on a face level, people seem to sort of become pleasantly sort of surprised. And if thoughts are Dharmakaya, then there isn't much one has to do. There isn't anything that one needs to do. Sort of, it's should be occurring quite effortlessly. And so, but probably one needs to take it a little bit further in that if one is to sort of try to sum up the essential point of it, then it is talking about the essential nature of thought, the essential way in which thoughts naturally occur by the truth of the nature being emptiness, and so it needs to be understood in that spirit, as opposed to just the way we normally approach thought as it appears. That in itself is sort of Dhammakaya to us. So again, maybe in a more sort of deeper way of talking about how that the thought is dharmakaya, and then if we begin to sort of have this idea, and first sort of there is dharmakaya, and sort of within the dharmakaya, sort of the thoughts are placed, and then obviously we miss the point. The thought and the dharmakaya are inseparable, and thereby the nature of thought is dharmakaya. Now, thought and dharmakaya sort of separate, understanding or sort of perceiving that way, and obviously it's not saying that thoughts are dharmakaya. Thought and the dharmakaya being inseparable. Just as when we're talking about the impermanence, and when we talk about the vase, describing in one of a particular way, is impermanent, a particular vase, and there is no separation between the vase and impermanence. Vase and impermanence are inseparable. While it's vast, it's impermanent. So, from that point of view, if we understand, which is another word saying that if we have this sort of dualistic approach, dharmakaya as pure, thought as impure, and impermanence and vast as being separate. So the inseparability of thought and dharmakaya, and to understand in that way, and then when it comes to translating that into everyday life, when thoughts occur, that we don't get fixated on the appearance of the thought, but that we are able to directly sort of tune with the nature of the thought. And so in this way, that the way one might, in connection with how to appreciate the potential possibility of enlightened outlook from that point of view, not fixated on the appearance of thought, but being able to directly sort of see the occurrence of thought on the basis of its nature.
I don't know this is practical level or not, but I think every moment we have, thought arises. I think we have the opportunity to recognize the natural thought or emptiness or dharmakaya or something, or what you call it. But I think it's this is maybe a practical level, I think, because the thought and the emptiness, the emptiness of the thought emptiness, the emptiness of his nature, it's inseparable. We can't make separation, because it's thought itself, it's emptiness. Then we can't make any separation. That means actually we have lots of everyday life, we have lots of opportunity to recognize, to realize that the natural thought or natural emptiness or dharmakaya, but we just follow that the numbers appearance or illusion. We didn't maybe something look more deeper or more sort of the natural level, just appearances. That's all. then, okay.
In meditation, you're sitting trying to observe the emptiness of I, the thinking I, and the feeling I. Is there any advice you can give when sitting to observe the emptiness of I?
No science question.
No science question.
Your husband is sighing. No science question. Okay, I don't know. Honestly, what? You can repeat again that question.
You're talking
Can you?
about the emptiness of I.
Yeah.
Is there any advice you can give when sitting,
Okay.
meditating, practicing on observing the emptiness, the thinking I, the feeling I, but how to sit with that? Is there any advice you can give?
Okay. During the meditation. I don't know. I never do that. Okay, but I'm trying to just, I guess, I can guess. 다 드레르 비심이다. 지당 다 사디. 베나 다 지 체다 아주 나라 다스 베네베 중앙에 풍봉아. 서머로 다 초반으로 이제 남는 게 풍봉아 그 초반으로 들려봐 다스 봐 다셔 봐. 다이네 아 민다버스면 오늘 전에 민다버스면 맞으면지 오늘 전에 다 도도지 오늘 전에 배 주주주유행이지 녀고도 삼는 직차가 침비나 됐지 가래요 민다셔버스면 어디 내려봐요 당원에 오늘 주더라 주주사 직차가 침비는 가라 하고 베나 tinsa 베나 베나 드리죠 transformation heart transformation transplant, heart transplant, liver transplant, tabe gangalo transplant jenge chadwa. Inada liver transplant chetugo marda. Ta phaji tsiri padi samle nalo la phaji gesi liver transplant chetumna. Bena mishinda ji phungbu nalo le ya. Ene bena niege liver de zongmi. 아베나 뜻이 있는지 아다 뜻이 선점도 야 내기 레바디 미신다지기 그 수변나로 레베 가서에 쭉나 다 바지 체리 빈데바나시 체비는 바지데 미디다 디 레바 주샤비디 미디 sommar다 수보디 당아자는 것이다 당아 사야다 라 리선도 조디디 라 루산도 되다. 조데 레바딜. 다고 삼모 동다이네리 그게래 지 차와주다이네리 강갈로지 가서에 대단 잡아 차디도 가서 레바딜. 되는 삼던 거래. 이나야 아주 남바 상계메 시두사 레바딜 레베 가서 거야. 지야 레바사데 코라양 세고로야. 레바사드 과시 안 코란세오로 아 레바사 코란 미니 안 가니지도 다 데바 지바 친구 에 남바상게 주다디지 마와디지 코란조 강에 주는 망보지 가르사 우연히 주지 고는 고도스다 신진사르지 도도지메나 텔레준데 지승가 상가 타바톱사데 자네 매차로로 신진사르지 고도스다 다 된 담발 우연히 또 요den게지 고도마도 자네면 드금인도스 다 텔라더니 왜 니주디 샤연도 산 뜰때 샤다 만다와 총네더니 주다 망보지 차수 I did better do this one. Tunzo gele chewe jumbe go daye drove rewa gome malu shi ja ge shin gembe sha ge zo de la je ba sha ze ro ya de she yi zho ba li zhen de ne ya wa se te be pu ro wan de na zhong din din zi ze la je ba.
So to try to sum it up, Swan is saying that since I personally don't have that kind of meditational experience, so I might have to give a good guess as to how to sort of go about it. Normally when we talk about I, we are basically referring to an entity that is a collection, a sort of collected entity, what is known as the 5 skandhas or the 5 aggregates put together, a collection of entities put together, referred to or thought of as one entity. If our sort of goal is limited to simply labeling, then of course our task is quite easy, and so we sort of added there a certain collection of stuff, skandhas, and give it a label. But since our goal is not limited to that, or our quest or search is not simply limited to that, we want to go further. And now as to where is the sort of I in all of this, then if we are to try to find out, then obviously that's where the sort of the difficulty comes. And so maybe from a more sort of scientific angle, it seems to be, from what I have heard, is that now we can have, to whatever degree, some transplants to happen, heart transplant, liver, kidney, and so on. But I still haven't heard that scientists or those who are in the medical field have been able to do brain transplant. And so, then from what I have heard or feel I have understood is that if brain transplants were possible, let's say if my brain were transplanted into somebody else, and then because of the way the brain is described, or the brain is sort of being the central, monitoring situation, then obviously that person who has my brain now would become me. And I guess the different appearance is understood, but would become me. And So there is that element. But anyway, from the Buddhist point of view, then we want to go a little bit further than the brain, sort of the materiality of the brain, or how it seems to work. But where is the brain? What is the brain? And when we go further, then we are also not able to actually state in truth, what it is. And that's of course the great Buddhist scholars and philosophers also had a hard work or tough challenges as to now, because the challenge is on one hand that one has to, in trying to establish the fundamental nature of something and failing to find anything that has any inherent sort of self-entity to it. And so, when failing to find any self-entity to it, you cannot sort of give it the, imagine there is a sort of self-entity. On the other hand, if enlightenment is to be accomplished, there has to be a basis for enlightenment too. So in this way, that a basis of enlightenment without any independent, inherent, referential existence to it. So because of that reason, that initially being a tough challenge, there are different, even in the Buddhist thought also, different levels of sort of views developed along this line.
We'll drink, no problem. I already offer. Then today in Jusane, that 가서 나바상게베 다 주다. 가시에게 다가 오늘 가서 배지 무치응외베 난게베 두젠 차셔로 두젠 차셔서 말베다지 근데지 온다 왜네 주도 다 되는 남바사나가 왜네 주도 대여아레스 다한테 주다 가셔야지 대대 지응외부터 안 돼요 말았다 다 드네시엔 주사 셈 차셔로지 뭐버다 지셈 차로 셈 차셔로 다 대베 뭐니 주 토리아베 터돌베 대여아레스 알지 다들이 망고시에들다 싱외베 토레 차셔로 대여아레스 대퇴한 한번 대여아레스 안 가셔서는 대여아마레스 셈 차셔 대여아레스 다들이 터도 지시에는 딱 오만 받았더니 다 차외다 다 토셔를 대미게서라 와 오만베 간라래 오만베 딱 아주 남주시에 대하다 그라시야 고마 법지 되는 다음에는 지나도베 깔래진이 점르베 딱제 땅네 지네베 된다 말아 강도 도도지 이님이 땅네 따고 말았어 냐야 말았어 따나마다 냐야 말았어 깔래 가는 다 간데래서나 오마비 다 간데래서나 남주 지디엠바 남주 거다 스페밍 가서 따제 똥 말았어 지디엠바 디즈기 되네 봄바사다 바 민다샤라 민다바점레 마다 다데 봄바데 간데레도 봄바디 뭐니 주도는 봄바사데 봄베 추도데 봄바레도 다 봄베샤 봄바레도 되네 따제 땅 말았어 바 민지 다샤 다가 좀 침버지네 샤샤라스 다나시 우마베게 되게 점레스 다간다 규겐텐데 창말로 초연주사네 규겐텐데 초발라 되네 거라 된신유를 비지 조용 거라스 된신유 빼는 봄바로 재미나 거라 봄베 된신유 봄베 규겐텐데 초연주사 봄베 된신유를 조용 거래 봄베 된신유 줘봐들어야 봄바스 바 다샤레스 마도베게 텐데 도도지래 대자마인 버질레 되네 도도지래 이 봄바레 사지 도도지 왜니 주토라 냐 야마르스 다시슨 조사르지 어 규겐텐데 초과점 짬대 양 어다 속바 짬티 레마다디 옌담데 고마르스 다 데네르 지라르다 데네 두산 디 균센 데네 다봉엘레 앞에 딱제당 리버 딱제당 다 딱제당네 고라지 녜드엔드 저어봐 디토라 마지 시스템 데바 냠바르 샤지 데네 셈 디토라 미제지도 데네 다 고음나데 지금엔로 성도 다 예미네 시베 그런 주지 개원 개배왕 뭐 신달 기제 저어를 마다베 예 소르든들 기제 지나 아니 노라망 보용 거래
So there are many views that
이나 참말 구주 지내래도 다 당봉을 참는 야심 참는 다 간다 주다마도 되바 저거 봐. 그래서 구주 지내래도 대도 매는 장고서 맞디.
So we might say here that there are many sort of phases of the development of the proper view, and starting with whatever gross levels of assumptions to the point where, from the point of view of one perspective is that in order for anything else to exist, there must be a basis for existence, and that basis for existence has to be that some referential entity. Coming to sort of have the final view as that the tiniest, the most subtlest particle of phenomena has to exist. So this sort of view is proposed. Then going further, and it is that no materiality can exist independently, inherently, and so what is the subtlest that exists is that of the mind. So from the point of the existence of the mind, that also from the point of view of the moment-to-moment occurrence of the mind. And then going further, what in Buddhism is regarded as the highest sort of view is that of the view of Madhyamaka, the middle way view. And the middle way view says that no, actually one doesn't need to go through all of this complicated analysis or exploration. It is simply not necessary. Because that just like the example of the vase, that in appearance and as far as serving a relative purpose, the vase exists. In appearance and as far as serving any relative purpose, the vase exists. But fundamentally, the vase lacks the truth of existence. That's always like that. And so, as to that how the vase lacks fundamental existence, what are you going to say? That is the spout of the vase is the real vase? Is the base of the vase is the real vase? It's just certain conditions, components put together. While they exist as the sort of assembled piece, they serve a purpose. And that which serves that purpose, relative purpose, is given a name. And so, sort of the purpose of that object is that much. And so in this way, that it should be understood by the matter of sort of common sense, that something that has been assembled, put together, which fundamentally, essentially, like the truth of existence, truth of the existence of one piece of solid, unbreakable object, but to simply put together it serves that purpose. And so, to that extent, and he's always saying that the emphasis is sort of to that extent. So, to that extent that the vast exists, and beyond that, obviously, lacks the truth of inherent and fundamental existence. And so, from that point of view, now of course, I'm not saying that these different progressions of the view is unnecessary. In fact, I feel that the different progressions of the view to sort of breaking the materiality into whatever the subtlest, divisible reference, and to that of the subtlety of the mind, and to the level of the approach of Madhyamika, I feel that progression is very helpful. Now, having gone through that progression, then when it comes to the actual practice of meditation, then by that time you should have gone through all the analysis, sort of the as to where things are at. By the time one is practicing meditation, should be level of being able to sort of rest in that state, which is non-reference, which is fundamentally lacking the truth of the existence of any reference. So probably that maybe seems to be where you try to get to, and then familiarize with what lacks the truth of any references. And so beyond that, obviously I would encourage you to approach other, learned and learned scholars, because if you leave to what I attempt to explain, maybe it might only lead to further confusion.
Last question. Wow, last question. Maybe I think it's very difficult to choose. Okay, you the behind, please.
The other day you said that you were very tired, and I wonder, because of the interdependency, by which means we could help you. Because you were out of energy.
What?
Is it possible to help?
Can you, sorry?
No. Somebody can.
She's saying that that Your Holiness was very tired the other day, and because of interdependency, is there any way that we can help you?
Okay. I think that is not a big problem, because sometimes I'm just I don't think I do lots of things, but I'm going either and thither, Then, sometimes I feel tired because I'm, run so much. But I think I didn't do any sort of really, done something. I don't. But that is, thank you very much. I think it's, lots of people have,
So, as Zondas was saying, that yeah, sometimes not so much that I have done anything or accomplished anything, but just running around here and there, and sometimes physically seem to get a bit tired. But I certainly feel energized or inspired by all the love and the support that I receive from all of you, and that really is sufficient, and I don't need anything more than your love and support, and thank you very much for that.
Tene 당에 치카시 시에나 다 치카시 만도 시야 두주민도 다딩에 나다게 고통부제다게 I'm very smart. Now I've just lived a little bit time. Oh.
So now I will share a few words with you, and there's not much time left other than to just share a few words with you, and so I managed to work it out, so I have very little time. I think I did it pretty smartly.
다 곰잡사디 미가시아 곰자 디스칼라가브르션디 예브자 카레사나 다지 르르지 되살라다 곰그난 르르지 되서 르르지 되서 참모를 차 에너지 가져다 차로 친신 엔디 디스칼라가브르션디 예브자 다바도 직게 다마시 곰사 제사 곰사데 칼레 카네 고 곰자 칼레 하고 싶지에 엔 곰자 마시 바마이바 지시하는데 레 라타슈제 곰자 마시 버치면도 가래상 아주 뒤gün 배지기 가르라다 미진나로 시비지다 쥐마로 지다 다네시 배 존도다 된 다네시 배디 가르레 파 가르레다 시비지기 미지디 성신 시비지여비자 디게 안다 혈류 지세도사네 아니 저 차르 지신데 그렇지 내려지면다 다 간다야 조디 아주랑 아주난지 지가르레 마지 곰자베가 루네자 디소르도 오네sen다 세마지 루심 루가 이숨 상월로바 디 태게디 이즈 사마르마 쇠를 봐야를 니지 chen 임바멘로 삼바르슈.
So talking about practice meditation, I understand it's not the same for everybody, because for some it's more difficult than for others. When the practice meditation, we are told, the first thing we are told is that you need to sort of relax into yourself, and maybe because of conditioning, and the moment we begin to sit, and we're supposed to relax into ourselves, and we just simply begin to do the opposite, sort of something else takes it over. Stiffness or rigidity takes over, and as we have been told to do the opposite. So that seems to be one problem that we create for ourselves. And the other thing probably to need to take into account is that when we have difficulty meditating, maybe it is not so much that meditation practice is difficult. Maybe if there is a problem, the problem is because the practice of meditation is easy. That's sort of in a kind of funny way has become difficult. It's sort of alien to us in that sense. And so maybe that's where sort of the difficulty arises. And we have the habit of being all the time, habit of fabricating, habit of doing everything else other than natural in that sense. And so, when we are just told simply do anything else, avoid everything else except being natural, that's sort of like something totally out of what relatively is a normal way. Because the normal way is fabrication and concoction and all sort of bewilderment, constant busyness. And in the midst of it, just to be simply, natural, probably when life difficult, like in the meditation practice, it said that you need to apply certain specific postures of the body, or in essence, one needs to allow one's body, speech, and mind all together to rest naturally. And maybe in a more direct way, this is always said, sort of body, speech, and mind all together. Learn to sort of take it easy.
제가 마르벨로 지주 마르베기 때 지금 미세 가서야지 르네 삼댕기베 르네 차가로 미세 아래 다 디줄 때는 예 삼랭엘레베 지 르디바 개좀 쉽지 지 샘플을 막고 르르를 바꿔야 돼 쉽지 개좀 차디 유스를 제가 대아버지 도스바 돼야 되나 디지 퉁고를 잡지 야면은 yoga 잡지 잉에나 봐 말 가지고 검을 마주 본 첸 수고디베 그 흘려를 쓰지 근데 토하는 에네베 르디 흘려를 차베 토래야 아니 그 퉁고로 담보진 제드네 봐 담보는 preparation 되지 퉁고로 제가 오나 가라 요가로 가르치고 오는 직제제 르디 디지 흘려로 차 드네베 검을 주고 이미나 검디 아버지 차딩면 선버지 to stay udo enda gomushile kabline enda tamangbosia ke de gomda gomja tamangbosia ya re 제가 안에 디 검디 가서다 간다야 안에 공기 교연디수다 뭐였으면 그렇지 근데 제가 더 하나가 검격도 중입니다 아야 왜 그러성도 안다라이 검다이 내가 가는 데 가라니
So in going over the great instructions on meditation.
어래다 고물이야 개치슈디 kum시잖아 야니 야도 공부친 kum시자고 해야 돼 개치미서 몸지 경내 아부를 준비산 나 아부를 준수 삼발지 삼샤샤 마이마다 야네 야도 봐곰 나와만 볼로만 보봐 곰 대야는 곰이야 참만 보체야 균유를 제제 내가 봐 곰니 곰생께나 되는 데부터 거래 곰생 마기에는 데부터 말해 도지체 아
So in the different instructions or manuals on meditation practice, especially one by the great Jetsun Marpa, Lord Marpa, there is a great emphasis on the posture of the body. And so I feel it's important that that is taken into account. That because of the definite immediate sort of interdependence, when one is able to thoroughly and properly able to allow one's body to occur naturally, that is, the body is naturally relaxed, and that would create the basis for the natural currents, the relaxed natural currents of the mind. So I think that needs to be taken quite sincerely. So in that way, initially cultivating some, applying some methods for allowing the body to relax naturally, that is applying different meditational posture, or maybe doing meditational sort of exercises or yoga, and engaging in sort of physical preparation for the meditation practice, and then engaging in the actual practice of meditation. So for that, not much is can be said, except that whatever meditation instruction that one is working on, one has to receive the instruction for working it, and making sure one is present enough to avoid the different faults that can creep in, and the what is sort of counterproductive to the meditation practice as a taught, and to bear them in mind. And then once that one has the proper meditation practice sort of intact that one is working on, the most important key for progress is continuous familiarity. Actually, that's the meaning of the practice of meditation. Continuous familiarity, and so it is not something that you had one good session of meditation practice and then you should be sort of satisfied with it and sort of close the chapter, so to speak, but continuously, months after months, year after year, and so continuous practice is important. And what is normally advised is that one's session of practice should be relatively short and sort of short and vivid, and not dragging some long sessions, and so always should remain fresh and being able to approach sort of the next one with freshness, and so in this way continuing repeated short sessions, and many of them, and of course continuing this familiarity until one is owned or experience the result. So that's all I can share with you now.
And I think thank you very much, all of you, especially the Rudi Institute. Every time I'm coming here in Bodh Gaya, and then we have these sort of kind of permanent plan or something. I need to come here, say something rubbish thing, and then I think this is great. It's give me some sort of opportunity to say some of my thoughts, and also you are the sort of Dhamma friends and friends, can also tell me something so that I can open my sort of wisdom or mind. I think this is, for me, it's a good opportunity and a good sort of
Good learning, good training.
Good training, good learning. Thank you very much, and also all those tea, rice, or oranges. I think it's wonderful. Thank you very much.